Islamic World Trade Simulation. This is a cooperative game for 2 to 4 players. Students play as a group of merchants engaging in trade in the Islamic world plus Constantinople circa the 10th century. The goal is to make as much money as possible. Several groups can play at the same time as long as each group has their own materials. In that case, groups can compete with each other. Once groups understand the rules, they can play on their own using question cards. Or everyone can play the same turn with the instructor setting the pace. To play, each group needs a board. On the upper left box is the key explaining which marker goes with which good. On each city is a list of commodities with dirham coins next to them. The number of dirham next to a commodity indicates how many coins it costs to buy or sell an item. For instance, a book at Marrakesh costs 3 coins, while books in Baghdad cost only 1. Students should eventually figure out on their own that they should buy things where they are cheap and sell them where they are expensive. Different cities are connected by lines. Each turn, students can move from one city to another connected by a line. If a city is not connected by a line, students cannot go there directly. For instance, if a student wants to travel from Constantinople to Cairo, they would have to go first to Baghdad and then on the following turn go to Cairo. To play, each group needs coins, which come in denominations of 1, 5, and 10. 10 of each should be sufficient, but it's good to have a few extra printed out so you can give students them if they run out. Each group starts out with 5 dirham. To play, each group needs commodity counters. Each group needs a set of commodity markers that they can buy and sell. Cutting these out is very tedious, but it's also very important as the students tend to enjoy this aspect of the game a great deal. One sheet of commodities should be enough for each group, but it might be good to print out extra. If students run out of a particular commodity, they can always just use one and then place upside down markers of a different commodity next to that commodity to provide extras. To play, each group needs a camel. Groups start with 1 camel, but they can buy more starting on the second turn. Whenever students buy something other than a camel, they have to put it in one of the numbered slots on the camel. If there is no empty slot, the camel can't carry it. Items do not stack. For instance, if students buy 3 books, they would have to put them on 3 different slots, not stack them on one slot. Dirham coins do not take a slot. Each camel requires 1 water per trip. If there is not enough water during the water check, the camel dies and everything they were carrying is lost unless it can be moved to another camel with empty slots. Events can cause a loss of water, so it's good to encourage students to consider buying extra water. Students often enjoy naming their camels, writing the name on the back. To play, each group needs a deck of event cards. An event card is drawn each turn. Event cards have random effects that can be good or bad. It is possible for students to lose their camel and go completely broke their first turn. If that happens, explain to them that traditionally in Islam, interest cannot be charged on loans. Then give them 5 dirham that they have to return at the end of the game so that they can restart. You can also explain that merchants often helped each other in this way because they understood that this sort of thing could happen to anyone. To play, each group needs a 6-sided die and maybe something to roll it in. Dice that hit the floor should be re-rolled. To play, each group needs a marker to show what city they are at. Coins are ideal for this, and you can buy a collection of foreign coins online for reasonably low prices. The cities and starting location. After putting students into groups and handing out their materials, they need to determine what city they start at. Students roll a d6, put their marker on whatever city they roll. 1, start at Baghdad. 2, start at Cairo. 3, start at Constantinople. 4, start at Marrakesh. 5, start at Timbuktu. 6, roll again, but start with 1 extra dirham. Once students have their starting spot, give them a few minutes to decide what to spend their 5 dirham on. Once everyone is ready, tell students to put their marker between the city they started from and the city that they are going towards. For instance, this group started at Constantinople and is heading towards Baghdad. If you want, you can tell students that the merchants pass the time traveling with trivia questions. If the group gets it right, they gain 1 dirham. Each group can answer on their own and win a single dirham coin. If you want students to do this on their own, you can also give them a card deck with questions once they understand the game and let them move at their own pace. If you give questions, it's helpful to have the question on one side and then another slide with the correct answer in bold. Before using the PowerPoint or handing out cards, make sure to read through the questions to make sure that they are appropriate for your class. If you think any may cause problems, feel free to move them. If you want students to go on their own, it's important to have instructions printed out so that students remember the turn order or have them posted on Blackboard. Students are then told to draw a card and follow its instructions. After resolving an event card, have students make a water check. Remove a water counter for each camel you have. If you run out of water counters before you run out of camels, each camel that lacks water dies. You can move goods from your dead camel onto a live one if you have open slots. If you do not, you lose the goods on the dead camel. After the water check, tell students they made it safely to their destination. Ending the turn. Students can keep leftover water, but they cannot sell it. Students can sell any goods they want at the price listed in the chart for the city that they are now at. After selling goods, students can use their dirham to purchase new items. Students can also purchase camels. Usually the instructor holds on to the extra camel cards and sells them to the students as they need them. Once all the groups are ready, a new turn can be started with students putting their marker between the city they are on and the city they are going towards and then moving on to the next question. At the end of the game, have students sell everything except for camels and water. Ask who has the most dirham. They win the game. Consider having a prize for that group. Ideally, you should then lead a reflection discussing with the students what they have learned from the simulation. Possible questions could include, what did you learn about this historical time period? How successful were your merchants? What accounts for that level of success? What obstacles did merchants face? Your merchants made money by selling things for more than you paid for them. Why do you think people might welcome you to their cities instead of criticizing you for ripping them off? How do you think merchants helped the cities they traveled to? Which camel was the best camel? Why?